Time to take a look at your money. President Donald Trump's global trade disputes have created a roller coaster ride for stock market investors. Just 1 month ago, the benchmark S&P 500 stock index had fallen nearly 20% from its all-time high. But on Friday, the S&P 500 posted its 9th consecutive daily gain, its longest winning streak in 20 years. So in the face of all these economic uncertainties, why has the stock market performed so well over the past 2 weeks? Financial advisor Mark Grywacheski joining us now live on Zoom to break this down for us. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, Devin. Great to see you again, as always.
Absolutely. So give us your thoughts on what we've been seeing in the stock market over these past few weeks.
First off, the U.S. stock market doesn't officially open up until 8:30 a.m. Central Time, a couple more hours. But looking at some of the pre-market indicators here, the Dow, S&P 500, NASDAQ, all set to open up a little bit lower. So, that historic 20-year, 9-day winning streak looks like it may be in a little bit of jeopardy, but we'll see how things pan out over the next few hours. But look, back in February, Devin, we see this sharp, sudden decline in the stock market as these trade disputes escalate. As you just mentioned, the S&P 500 fell nearly 20% over the next 2 months. And in my opinion, Devin, it was Wall Street kind of assuming a worst case scenario for the economy, that consumer spending, business spending, corporate earnings, the labor market would all very quickly be impacted. But over the past few weeks, we're getting more and more economic data that shows that, consumer and business spending are still strong. Corporate earnings are still strong. On Friday, we get that better than expected employment report. Now, Wall Street is not saying, let me repeat that, it's not saying that these trade disputes don't have some type of impact on the economy, because we all know they certainly do. But this 9-day rally does indicate that Wall Street thinks the economy is, holding up better than they initially thought it would.
And Mark, on Wednesday, the U.S. Department of Commerce reported economic growth in the first quarter actually declined at an annual rate of 0.3%. So how does this report match up with Wall Street's assessment that the economy is holding up better than expected?
Look, at 7:30 a.m. on Wednesday, when that Department of Commerce report showed that economic growth actually fell by 0.3% in the first quarter, Wall Street's initial response was swift and brutal. The Dow Jones Industrial Average quickly fell by 800 points. But then the stock market started to gradually rise and actually ended the day with a positive gain. And then on Thursday and Friday, as we all know, the stock market rises even higher. When Wall Street actually dove into the details of the report, it showed that consumer spending and business spending were still very strong. Consumer spending drives about 70% of our nation's entire economic growth. Combined consumer spending, business spending drive about 85% of our economic growth. And Wall Street saw that 0.3% decline in economic growth came from this massive surge in imported goods from foreign countries. And imported goods actually act as a subtraction in the economic growth calculation. And that surge in imports in the first quarter is from U.S. businesses essentially front-loading their purchases of foreign goods to keep ahead of those tariffs. But look, as the biggest caveat as I can say, all of this economic data is in a tremendous state of flux until these trade disputes start to get sorted out a bit more.
Those data charts are really telling. They put things into perspective. You can see that rise and fall there.
And I think this volatility, this choppiness we're going to be seeing in the stock market is going to reflect all this economic data that comes out in the upcoming days, weeks, and months. So that roller coaster ride may continue a little bit longer, Devin.
We'll stay on top of it. Thank you so much, Mark, for joining us, and we'll see you next Monday.
All right. Enjoy your weekend, or your week, both of you.
Absolutely.
You too, Mark.